to Hong Kong and welcome to Bitcoin Asia event.
Yeah, thank you for having me for the interview, and super excited to be here.
Okay, is Bitcoin your first entry for is Bitcoin your first encounter for crypto or blockchain?
Yes, so I actually interacted first with Bitcoin in like 2010 during my master's, so like a long time ago. Um,
2010. It's just the beginning of the Bitcoin. So, in what milestones in your journey in crypto industry that really shaped you and led you to created the Cube Exchange?
yeah, so after I finished my master's, I actually like stopped doing anything crypto related, and then went and worked for like 10 years in traditional finance,
Oh,
and then worked at Solana for quite a bit, and I think that that going from Bitcoin to finance to Solana like allowed me to like go and create Cube.
yeah, and the Cube is built on Solana.
Um,
So,
yes, we are using Solana validator client, but we are interacting natively. Um, yeah, let's just maybe. Um, but we are interacting natively with each of the blockchains. So when you are using Bitcoin on Cube, you are actually using Bitcoin. It's not like a wrapped assets or anything. You can go to the Bitcoin Explorer and see that you own the Bitcoin that you deposited or you bought on the exchange.
you are kind of an OG for Solana ecosystem. So, what draws you most, and what keeps you coming back to Solana?
Uh, I think a very vibrant developer community uh, and the tech in general. Like the tech, what is what attracted me first. I think the design decisions that Solana made are very distinct from other blockchains, and this is where its strength lies.
Okay. And Solana DEX and with Solana DEX rivaling and even surpassing Ethereum in trading volumes. And people are saying we are entering a bull market. So how does Cube prepare to handle millions of orders per second and in the peak hours?
Yeah. So everyone on the team came from traditional finance background, like big hedge funds like Citadel, DRW, trading on the biggest exchanges in the world. So we have, I believe, one of the strongest technical teams in Web3, and we built everything from ground up to make sure that as a user you have a great experience.
So, and how does Cube offer more transparency than traditional exchanges?
We allow users to see their assets on the blockchains all the time. So you go to Bitcoin Explorer, Etherscan, or Solana Explorer. Each user's account is a dedicated account in those explorers, and you can see historical even assets that are there.
Okay, cool. Let's move into the MPC wallet. It's a very important part. And uh, how does what's the key features that it offers for ordinary users, and what they offer that other wallets don't offer?
Yeah, I think the speed is pretty important, but for the exchange itself, the fact that it integrates with uh, both Ethereum type networks and like Solana or newer chains is pretty interesting. Most of the MPC wallets integrate either with like Ethereum or Solana. And then from the user's perspective, recovery is something that was very important for me. Because when you are using like self-custody wallets, it's like pretty hard for the users. And that's why a lot of users still use centralized exchanges.
That is good. And because MPC is kind of a complex cryptography for key management, is it still user friendly for those new for blockchain?
I think we need to make it user friendly when we talk about it. So I actually try to avoid talking and using like the specific cryptographical terms and just focus on what user gets. and in our case, you get the transparency by being able to see your assets at all the time and the recovery. And that's pretty much it. We don't need to talk much more about like how the signing works and all of that for regular users.
Ordinary introduce functionalities to Bitcoin ecosystem as Ethereum NFTs, and you actually brought the NFT minting to Solana. And so, do you see any parallel with the early NFT craze?
Yeah, so I actually think a lot of developers from Solana that were involved in the NFTs on Solana became involved early on in the Bitcoin NFTs. And I think that created a very strong narrative of two networks growing together, especially with like runes and other things coming on the networks. I think you will see more and more developer communities collaborating between the two projects. So I think it's like very synergistic and less like maximalist approach.
Do you see the craziness, compared to the passion and everything else? Do you think that people are passionate with NFT more than the ordinary stuff?
I think it really depends on the project. I think early on it was easier for people to get excited about NFTs because it's very easy to have an opinion on art. And if you are talking about the token, if it's just a name, like you need to build that from the ground up. So like NFTs brought that art component that you could be excited about. But with like meme coins, for example, you need to build that separately. Like this distinct feel for like, hey, why is this meme coin exciting? So like, I think both NFTs and meme coins have a lot of similarities, and a lot of communities are similar, but they can create similar emotions, I think.
And Cube has started the rings exchange market, rings trading market. And how do you see the innovative value of rings and its potential market?
Yeah, so the way runes interacts with Bitcoin is much simpler. You only need one transaction per transfer, and that allows the, I think, explosion of what can be built on top of it, with like DeFi, general like meme coins, and then actual tokens for the DeFi as well. Because of the unique setup with Cube, the way how we settle with peer-to-peer transactions, we were able to integrate very quickly the runes ecosystem and work with like some of the top projects in the runes ecosystem to actually have like interesting listings. But like I think it's just the beginning. There's a lot of things that are happening in that ecosystem that are very distinct from the BRC20.
Do you think that rings will put a standard in Bitcoin ecosystem that to take place the BRC, the ARC stuff?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that's good. So, how do you want? Do you have some plans to for the rings trading market?
Yeah, so I think listing more tokens, that's obvious. Adding more interesting bundles. So in Cube we have this unique feature where you can buy multiple tokens at the same time. We call that bundles. I think it makes it much easier for the regular user to interact with the exchange because now you can focus on themes rather than specific tokens. So maybe you want to buy all the dog tokens, so on all the blockchains. And on Cube you can do that with a single click where you buy Doge on Doge network, Dog on Bitcoin, Shiba Inu on ETH, and maybe Bonk and WIF on Solana.
Okay, and so let's talking about the Bitcoin ETFs. So since the Bitcoin spot ETF has passed, do you observe some shift in the market?
I don't think so. I think the offering of the ETF, specifically in Hong Kong, targets very different customers than what you've seen before trading on the exchanges. So I think it's more of a addition than subtraction.
So where do you see the opportunities for Cube?
Integrating a lot with like layer 2s, native staking solutions, and just working very closely with like strong technical teams on like building stronger communities.
How to build stronger communities?
I think like people, a lot of times people, especially when you talk about strong technical projects with a token, you need to figure out the narrative for both. You have the product that's very strong, but you also need to have a good narrative for the token. And helping projects with that, I think, is where Cube provides decent amount of value.
Okay. At the strategy for growing users, there are huge of very good quality DEXs in Solana. So how do you make it different?
So I think DEXs are great when you are interacting within a single chain. So if you're on Solana and you are using Jupyter, that's great. You know, it's an awesome team. But as soon as you want to take that assets and interact with Bitcoin, now you need to figure out what you want to do. Do you want to use bridges? Do you want centralized exchanges? And sometimes when you are trading, you don't necessarily want to switch the interfaces. And I think this is where the products like Cube kind of come in, where you can actually stay within the same platform for trading and trade across multiple ecosystems.
Okay, so that is to say that Cube is sit on top of Solana and can also swap tokens from others ecosystem very easily.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is cool, but compared to other DEXs like Uniswap, do you think there's some comparison or what? I can maybe we can try another way. Like, what do you think is your competitor?
Yeah, sure. I think mostly centralized exchanges. I think DEXs are really good for bootstrapping the liquidity on the early tokens. And as soon as you want to bridge the communities from other ecosystems, you want to start interacting with exchanges more, rather than just at DEXs.
Okay. Since you've been in cryptocurrency since 2010, right? And do you feel any changes like users? I mean, before maybe users trading on exchanges, they have this kind of demand, but maybe now they have changed their needs or something else, or the people, the DEX or the sex serving the group of people has already changed.
So I really think they are complementary. When you think about the DEX and the SEX, in many cases, but I think the users changed fundamentally. I think the profile of a trader changed. The profile also of like the community member changed quite a bit. Like people are right now more interested in like communities rather than technical aspects of the project. You could have the project that maybe is not as technically exciting, but the community is exciting and people are still like rallying around that. And the DEX sex competition, I think it's like less aggressive that people paint. Just because, again, you stay within the single ecosystem. Like, if you trade only on Solana, like maybe that's fine. But like as soon as you start adding multiple different ecosystems, switching between those interfaces becomes pretty tricky. There are some solutions that try to address that, but there's not many cross-chain DEXs that actually people use.
I remember very clearly that on Cube website there's a slogan like inspiring confidence for crypto industry. So what do you think that what stuff you believe that makes people feel unconfident about crypto?
I think things like FTX, I think like are pretty challenging. I think hacks around the bridges are pretty hard too. So like solving those specific pinpoints, I think is pretty important.
I think FTX stuff is like people losing face to some person, not crypto.
But same with bridges, like how many hacks you had across bridges. Like it's, you know, like I don't necessarily want to name examples, but over the years, bridges like led to probably more loss of assets than what was lost on FTX. And they try to solve this place where you're sitting between multiple dexes, but like, you know, they're still pretty opaque.
Yes. So I think in that case, Cube is a strongly believe that tech can solve all these problems.
Yeah.
But normal users sometimes they do feel about tech. So how do you tell them that use us and we have very good tech?
I think you just need to focus on building a good product, and that I think also building trust with the users takes time. I think just talking about it is not enough. Like, just needs to keep doing constantly.
Yes. Sometimes always there's some accident happens. People will start to notice that wow, we need more solid tech, but it's already late. So we have to constantly do what is right for us. And so this is tech stuff. Well, how to grow? Do you have some strategies to boost the user growth?
For the projects specifically, I think there's like just keep talking about your own product. If you're a builder and you're an engineer, I think you need to be out there talking, because if you are not talking about it, nobody else will.
Lastly, let's talk about regulation, because I noticed the last week when I tried to sign up a Cube exchange and I selected China as a region, I received a message saying that it is not available in your region. So how to handle the challenges, between the regulatory and the growing in Asia market?
So we have a very strong legal team, and we try to follow the regulation in each of the countries and expand the list of countries that we operate in. And we work with regulators closely in like different countries to actually move in the right direction. But sometimes it just takes time.
Do you have some? What's your take on the China's regulations? You visited Hong Kong, and I think you visited Hong Kong before, right?
Yeah.
And how do you feel the environment, and how do you feel the potential of this market?
Yeah.
Do you think that regulatory is really a challenge in these areas, or you still believe that there's a lot of space to grow?
So I really like what both of the regulatory bodies in Hong Kong are doing in terms of regulating both the stable coins and the exchanges. I think the framework is very strong, and there's a lot of interest globally to actually like have those licenses like obtained by different exchanges. The stablecoin one is very interesting as well. I think a lot of jurisdictions outside of like in Europe are trying to follow similar path, and I think from that perspective the Hong Kong regulators like led the way and moved pretty quickly, and they're very responsive to comments from the community. So in general, I found the environment in Hong Kong very friendly, like developer friendly, and like building friendly. So we actually expand in terms of like people that are based here on the team, like hiring more. So if you are in Hong Kong and you are an engineer, happy to talk about having you on the team. I think the biggest challenge right now is figuring out how the regulation that's happening in Hong Kong will expand to mainland China, what like PBOC will do, and like other regulatory bodies in mainland China.
I think you will visit a lot of countries, and do you have what's the feelings of different countries, like the environment of the developers or the attitudes about the cryptocurrency?
I think each country is very distinct, and often like solves different problems or focuses on different aspects of the like cryptocurrencies. Like in many South American countries, for example, everyone is talking about like moving money between countries, but like you don't see that much of that. I think in like Hong Kong, for example, like in Hong Kong maybe you would see more like financial innovation, RWEAs, like stable coins, things like that. And like more developer focused as well. So like each country is very, very different.
So, by now, uh, 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 which country or which areas is the most users on Cube?
I think right now most users are from Brazil. Uh, this moment, yeah.
Okay. Um, as, as a CEO of Cube, what's your focus now?
Building the best exchange.
Okay, great. Uh, I think do you have anything else you want to touch on?
No, I think that was pretty good. Happy to talk about non-cube related topics. Uh, like I think stablecoin regulation is pretty interesting with the sandbox and like who goes into the sandbox and like specifically in Hong Kong, like how many stablecoins do like I think would exist. Um, like I think the fragmentation of the stablecoins across like what kind of impact it will have on the centralized exchanges is very interesting.
I think fragmentation problem is a problem that everyone want to solve.
Yeah.
You know, between the stable coins and between the chains, um, a lot of stuff. So, if I didn't get it wrong, I think you have you have unique tech that to connect to break the segment between the different chains. What is it?
This all happens through the MPC infrastructure that we built. So each MPC wallet settles peer-to-peer with each other.
Okay. So MPC quality is very hard development.
Yeah.
How long it takes?
It took us probably like 6 months to build most of the MPC infrastructure. Yeah.
Do you have something to say to Chinese users?
Sure, I would say go try like if you are not in mainland China, go try trading runes on Cube. I think it's super exciting and super easy, and how fast it settles. You can use USDC from Solana to trade directly runes. And if you have any feedback, you can contact me directly on Twitter or Telegram.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good time in Hong Kong.
Thank you.